Alright, back on deck we got the Rebel V2. This is the 6th flight on this overall. Flying out on a zippy 3000 milliamp battery. I think it is a 30C discharge battery. It's just a marvelous jet. If you're looking to get into EDF and you don't have a lot of experience, or even if you do got experience, this is highly recommended. I mean, it flies so beautifully. The only real drawback is the flight time, which is standard with all EDFs, about 3.5 minutes, depending on how hard you're pushing it. And when you're landing, you really got to hold off and bleed down the speed, or else you'll get some pretty traumatic bouncing. Alright, taking off to the north. Got about a 4-mile-an-hour steady breeze. Low rates on elevator and ailerons, high rate on the rudder. Put one tick of flaps on it just so we can see how quick it gets off on grass. Alright, there's high speed, back pressure, and we are off. Flaps coming up, gear coming up. Going to the mid rate on the elevator, just so we have a little bit more recovery if we need it. Flying along right about half throttle right now. You can see it slows down really nicely. We'll come down here in front of us. That's a half throttle pass. That's a bank and yank turn, no rudder applied. There's one with rudder. Keeps it a little more flat. High speed. Yeah, it's just a marvelous jet. Flies really well. Loops with no problem. On the low rates, it gives a nice lazy aileron roll. If you want to get squirrely, you can flip that up into mid or even high. High rates I really don't recommend unless you're walking around with young man thumbs, because she gets really twitchy on the high rates. It does not have unlimited vertical. Of course, it's just a 4-cell and it is a heavy plane. There's level flight coming into vertical. A rotation in there, and that was it. Generally enough to climb out of problems, but not enough to get you out of sight. Oh, there's our timer. The wind has died down, so we're going to just land north to south. There's our gear pass, deployed fine. Alright, walk down here to the runway end. Hold off as long as you can, and then grease in on the landing. Yeah, these EDFs, if you come in too hot, it definitely will give you a traumatic bounce. Or at least a dramatic bounce. It may not be traumatic, you may recover, but it will be a lot more fun if you hold off that landing as long as possible. Fly it to the ground. What does that mean, fly it to the ground? Well, keep working your throttle and your elevator. Once you're a foot off the ground, very, very minor aileron input, just real minor to keep the wings level. Keep working your throttle about like that, 1 to 3 clicks, actually 0 to 3 clicks, and real slight movement on your elevator. and hold that off, fly it all the way down. You're about a foot off the ground. Once you hit that foot, you're in ground effect, so you're going to get a little extra lift, so be mindful of that. And start decreasing your throttle more when you're about a foot off the ground. You'll want to carry about probably 2 to 3 clicks of throttle to get it down to that 1 foot spot. And then once you're down there, start cutting your throttle a little bit at a time. If it looks like it's sinking too fast, come back up on the throttle. Basically what you're doing is bleeding off enough airspeed that she just squeezes in. You can also get up into a little bit of a, not a severe, you know, we're not talking coming up at a 45, but you can raise the nose up 5 degrees or so, and that'll really help bleed the speed down. And that landing we just made, that was with 0 flaps. Personally, I like landing without flaps. Flaps are great for takeoffs, but for landing, I get a much smoother landing if I just fly it down, as opposed to relying on the flaps to slow it down. When you're flying with the flaps on the landing, most people, myself included, we have a tendency to fly it like a trainer and just dead stick it in. And profile planes, you know, low drag profile planes like this, when I say profile, I'm talking the lines on it. They don't really like to dead stick in. They want to come in under a little bit of throttle and let the rubber meet the road, so to speak. Bring it down nice and gentle. But your mileage may vary. You may enjoy the flaps on the landing. It could be that I just don't have a lot of experience using the flaps on landing. Last time I landed this one with flaps was on Flight 5, and really got a bad bounce. I lost too much lift, and it hit the ground before I had enough airspeed snaked off of it. So it hit the ground with too much airspeed, and it just bounced pretty bad 3 or 4 times. It didn't do no damage or anything, thankfully, but it just wasn't a clean, smooth landing. And again, you just saw it with 0 flaps, and if you just hold it off, that's a sweet spot. All right, well, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.